Hello, friends. This is a picture of me walking down the streets of downtown Los Angeles not too long ago. This picture exemplifies the gap between rich and poor in America that's been growing. In fact, the average CEO income is about 400 times the income of the average worker in America. And this gap is exemplified by such poverty that we have, where you see in the picture people who are homeless on the side of the streets, sleeping in their tents and living there, and the high-rise skyscraper buildings which exemplify the corporate headquarters of many big companies. This cannot be tolerated in a democracy because this will weaken us further. And that's why Bernie Sanders was insistent that Vice President Kamala Harris would commit to addressing this as she's running for president, to commit to addressing the inequality gap between rich and poor in America, and how she would address that and come up with policies that would address it and fix it. For example, she did in fact back, as she was running for president a few years ago, and while being vice president, she backs federal aid to housing, more funding for housing, to make it affordable housing, as well as help people buy their own homes, as well as rent control. That would be a nationwide kind of rent cap. Those are kinds of programs regarding housing that Vice President Kamala Harris has actually supported, and we like to see those implemented when she gets elected, if she gets elected. So this gap can be solved, especially if we could have corporate loopholes closed, raise the tax rates on big billionaires who make a lot of money, who could actually pay some of fair share to bring the money back to help build public permanent housing that would actually be affordable for people to live in, and also for people who are homeless to be able to get on their feet. For example, the Housing First program in Utah is exemplary. For 10 years, the state of Utah provided funding, state funding and also local funding and private funding, to get people who are on the street, chronically homeless, to be able to have their own apartments, permanent apartments, to get them in there if they'd like to have them, and put them in there and let them have a chance to recuperate, and to have all kinds of social services provided for them, including mental health and medical services, after they were in the home. The idea was that housing first is the most important item that has to take precedence, and then people can get on their feet again and get job training, job placement, after they have help from the medical system as well, if they need it. So I think that that program, which worked very well, it reduced the homelessness in Utah, the chronic homelessness, by about 92% over a 10-year period. That needs to be brought to nationwide. And unfortunately, the program was discontinued because the reactionary forces decided to block it and said it wasn't worth the money, and yet it worked very well. And the cities of Houston and the city of Milwaukee have tried the Utah plan, and it's worked very well for them, and they're continuing it. So we hope that the next president, if it's Kamala Harris especially, because she is probably most amenable to do this, will in fact address the question of inequality in America and how to reduce it and build a large middle class and help people who are homeless and the working poor be able to climb that ladder and have a fulfilling, rewarding life.